Hello, my name is Bridget. Today I am joined by my assistant Carlos, who has been beheaded for this assignment. He's going to help me out by showing his bones. My little 360. All I have is my bed, and I do have a typed and penciled in cheat sheet that's gonna assist me today, along here with Carlos, and hopefully you can see and hear me okay. I'm gonna start with his frontal bone, which is this bone right here. I'm gonna move on to his parietal bone, which is gonna be, there's actually two of those parietal bones. These right here. These are the parietal bones. We're going to go to the occipital bone, which is here on the back, this little triangle, back of the bone, back of the skull bone. We're going to do the temporal bones, which are here. This bone here, this is the temporal bone. And then we have the sphenoid bone, which is the bone between the frontal bone and the it's like between the frontal and the temporal. It's right here. That is the sphenoid bone. And then we have the ethmoid bone, which is actually like really hard to see on this model. I don't even really, it can be seen like on the inside of here, and then also it can be seen like externally, but it's really hard to see on this little bitty thing. But there is an ethmoid bone. It's a square shaped bone between the nasal cavity and the eye orbit. The skull also has sutures. These sutures are called the coronal suture, which is the one that crosses over right here, across the frontal bone. We have a sagittal suture, which goes across the parietal bone, which is this big, squiggly, ugly one. That is the sagittal suture, the big, complex, crazy one that's here, sagittal suture. And then we have a squamous suture, which is around the temporal bones. So, squamous suture is around the temporal bones, squamous suture. And then we have a lambdoid suture, which is around the occipital bone, but it also meets the sagittal suture. So that is the suture that is going around this bone, but then it also kind of meets this suture here. So it's this one right here. That is the lambdoid suture. And then, let's see what I want to do next. Let's move on to the mandible, which is your lower jaw. This is the mandible, the body of the mandible. And then we have the maxilla, which is your mustache bone, the upper jaw. Then you have zygomatic bones, which is here, the cheekbones, zygomatic bones. Okay. And then we have nasal bones. You have two of them, nasal bones, that are forming the side of the bridge of the nose, the nasal bones. And then we have, let me see. We have the superior orbital fissure, which is a top slit here in the eyeball. If you look like in the eye socket, this, it doesn't actually like give distinct openings, but that very top one is the superior orbital fissure. And then you have the inferior orbital fissure, which is the lower one down here. That one right there. And then we have the vomer. Vomer. It's like Homer Simpson, but it's the vomer, which is this down here. It forms the nasal septum, the vomer. And then we have the foramen rotundum, foramen rotundum, which is, and I hope you can see it on here. Let me see. It's gonna be, there's 3 little holes here in the butterfly. It's gonna be this top hole here. That's gonna be that one. And then you have a foramen ovale, which is gonna be the oval shaped and second hole in that series. There's 3 holes there, and there is an oval shaped one. I'm looking at it now. There's an oval shaped one, and it's in there. That's the foramen ovale. And then you have the foramen magnum, which is this hole here, the big center hole where the spinal cord goes. And then you have the crista galli, which is, I called it the jelly bean. Ooh! I called it the jelly bean at the top. I'm looking at it. It looks like a little jelly bean at the top. It's a little, you can't see it. It's like right here. That is a crista galli. The little speck there. It's definitely there. I can see it. I can see it. It's here. Crista galli. It's right here. My pencil is right in it. That's the crista galli. So, if I'm not mistaken, I have now pointed out and discovered 25 of Carlos's skull bones. And I thank you for watching.